he pulls his gun out. Is pregnant. She's what? Kevin is mine. Downstairs, boo. That's Caleb Dillon. Welcome back to my channel.
I'm making a change today. The liquor been taking the pain away. I heard you was giving your chain away. That's kind of like giving your fame away.
Today, we are going to be doing a story time. I do have a lot of ideas of certain videos that I want to actually make, but I want to make sure that people actually are liking what I'm making to a certain extent. It's just like whatever I want to post, I want to post, and I'm going to post what I want to post. Yeah, so today's video is going to be a story time for my first DL boyfriend, actually. So, yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so this story time stretches all the way back to August of 2019 when I was just a little freshman in high school. I was so excited to go into my freshman year. For this story time, we're going to call the guy Kevin, so that there's no confusion, like this is just a code name for the actual person that I'm actually talking about. And certain details in the story, I won't say specific things because a lot of people that I go to high school with actually watch my channel, and I just don't want to like even, you know, give them the chance to like know who I'm talking about, even though they might know if they saw like me and him together. But that's a different. So I met Kevin around August of 2019. Actually, we were like, we had not known too much about each other, just a little bit from like past stuff that had happened when like middle school was going on, but we didn't actually go to the same middle school, so we hadn't like known each other for real, but we knew each other because of some previous relationships and stuff that happened. So I saw him in one of my classes that I had my freshman year, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cute, and I just wanted him so bad. Like, it was just me being young, and I just wanted to attach to somebody and like make them like me, because I used to not like anybody, and I used to hate when people liked me, but I just felt the need to like want to always be around him, and I wanted that satisfaction of like having somebody that actually likes me. So I was like telling my friend to talk to him about me, because I was like, oh, he's friends with her too. We're gonna give her a name. We're gonna call her Michelle. He's friends with Michelle too, and I'm friends with Michelle. Me and Michelle, we're building a friendship our freshman year. So I was like, okay, like when you go talk to Kevin, bring me up. Be like, oh, Caleb is cool. Caleb is this, that, and the third, because that was what I had wanted him to know, so that he can, you know, continue to be interested in me. Around September, August, I got sick actually. And I was actually telling him that I had gotten sick, because by then, this is like the middle of August, I had his phone number and we were texting back and forth just about like simple things like, hey, good morning, like, did you do this work? Did you do this work? Like regular things we were texting about. But I had told him I was actually like not feeling good, and I was probably gonna go home, but I had went to the nurse first, because at that point they were making us go to the nurse to like actually go home. The nurse had to like call our parents and stuff like that. I had never been sick like that ever until I got COVID officially and got tested. So I was texting him and I was like, oh yeah, like I'm so tired, like my fatigue is awful. I feel like I have to vomit. I cannot stay awake in class. And if you know me, like I am always awake in class. Like if I don't go, I don't go. But if I'm there, I'm awake and I'm listening and I'm present. So I knew something was wrong with me. I went to the nurse and he was like, oh, I'm gonna come like make sure that you're okay. And he actually came to my class and walked me to the nurse. And he bought me some Powerades while I was actually in the nurse's office. And to me, like that was a lot. I was like, oh my gosh, like I would do that if I liked somebody, period. Like if I like you, then I'm gonna, you know, make sure that you know that I like you, and I'm going out of my way to make sure that you're okay, make sure that you're happy. And that just seemed like what he was doing to me at that point. We just, you know, started talking way more often. We would text each other. And around this time, it's about actually Thanksgiving time. And I had actually I was talking to him for a good little bit at this point. And we were actually like, I guess you could say talking. But when I was actually like looking at what type of person he is, like outside of just talking to me when he's around his guy friends, they just were not the type of people that I would like to associate with. Like they were very, very street smart and not very book smart, and they just wanted to be street smart in school 24/7. That's so unattractive to a certain extent, because if you act like this, like that just was a major playing, like it was just a reoccurring factor in my head. I was like, does he actually act like this, like outside of just being, you know, regular old Kevin that I know? I knew like the emotional, the soft side of him, but like all his friends knew like the, oh, I want to hold my gun, or oh, he need a 3.5, or you know, like that's the type of thing that he was always into, and still is into. But at this point I was like showing him my type and showing him what type of person that I want to be with, and he was slowly changing things about himself to make me happy. Like he would stop smoking as much to make me happy. He would stop going and getting in fights, because at this point he was dealing with, you know, some trauma and whatnot, and I was also. So when we were meeting each other, it was like we were trying to heal each other and heal ourselves within each other, which is why we grew so strong to each other. But we were actually talking, and I was just letting him know, like, I was so hungry one day, and I was in school, and at this point in my school, we used to make actual cookies, fresh baked cookies, in our downstairs, like Blue Wing or something like that. I used to love those cookies. Downstairs Blue Wing cookies were the like bomb. Like those things were so good, especially when it was like right after my third, or it was right before a lunch. But he used to literally give me $20 bills like at a time to buy cookies. Like he would give me a $20 bill and be like, oh, like go buy you some cookies, get you a drink, like make sure you're okay, and then keep the change. I'm gonna spend literally maybe $5 of this, but that's just like you giving me all this extra money for no reason. Like, why are you giving this to me? I was like, okay, he's been giving me this much money, like, and he actually told me that he liked me as a friend. And I was like, okay. The more that we started hanging out, the more that I was just with him, the more things that I actually saw about like dating somebody like that. And it was like extremely different than what it would be if I was a girl dating a hood guy, and if I was a, you know, hood gay guy dating a hood gay guy. Like it would just be so completely different. One night we were actually talking, and he had his sister's car, and I let him come over and pick me up, and we were talking in the car. We were just, you know, having a random conversation, and he pulls his gun out, and I'm like, why do you have your gun? Like we're not in a bad neighborhood. You're in my neighborhood. I don't live in a bad neighborhood at all. Why do you have your gun on you, on your lap? Like it was just extremely like nerve-wracking to be so young and be around like things that, because at this time I just turned 14. Like literally I had just turned 14 and he was 15, 16, so it wasn't like we were that far in age at all. We were not far in age at all. I let him know that I should not, like, I don't want to see your gun. Like I don't think that you should personally be carrying a gun around 24/7 if you know that you don't have to like hurt anybody. It doesn't make any sense, like, at all. So that night we were in his car. He let me know, he was like, he said to me, I was actually about to go somewhere after like we got done talking and whatnot, and I was like, well, what did you want to talk about? Because he was stressing me to come over. He was like, I need to talk to you like about this and this. I was like, okay, like let me know. And we were sitting down, and he was sitting right next to me in the driver's seat, and he kept looking over at me, and I was like what, like what's going on? And he was like, you know, I really like you. And I was like, no you don't, like you do not like me for real. And he was like, no, for real, I really not like you. And he was stuttering, and I was like, you're stuttering, like Kevin, calm down. Like I was like, you don't have to tell me that to make me happy. Like that's not what I'm looking for right now. Knowing good and well that's exactly what I'm like. Inside I was eating it up. Like every time he said it, like it was at a point to where I would say you don't like me so that he can like say I like you. Like that's how much I wanted to hear it. And I was like, okay, yeah, like I like this, like for real, like I like this for real. That night he told me he liked me, and after I kept saying you don't like me, you don't like me, he was like, so how can I show you how much that I like you? And I was like, you can respect every boundary that I put in place and still consistently talk to me and let me know that you're about me and only me and not about anybody else, then I'll know that you like me. And he was like, okay. what do you mean okay? Like, in my head I'm thinking, I'm like, what do you mean okay? Like, are you gonna do that? Like, let me know right now, because if you're not gonna be giving me what I want emotionally and like supportively, then there's no reason for us to be together. If you're not building onto me and I'm not building onto you, there's no need. I'm not gonna keep putting myself into somebody and just keep getting slack every time. Like, that's not what a relationship is anyway. I was telling him, I was like, what do you mean okay? Like, and he was like, it's just okay. Like, I'm gonna just show you instead of just saying how much I want to be with you. I'm just gonna show you. I was like, well, I'm about to go in the house because I'm hungry. Like, I'm so hungry. I was always hungry my freshman year. Like, literally, I was always hungry. Every time, I was always, dang, I was just one hungry. Ooh, I was one hungry ass bitch, like, for real. But I was just telling him, I was like, yeah, like, I'm finna go inside and wind down and whatnot, get ready for school, because it was Sunday. I remember it because I was like, oh my God, tomorrow's Monday, we have school this, that, and the third. And he was like, yeah, so like, about that. And I was like, about what? And he started talking to me about seeing me around in school, because we had a new semester coming up. My classes were all honors classes or AP, and they would be taken with sophomores and up. So the only time I was with freshmen was with an advisement class or drawing or something like that. I was like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna take those classes, so I'm not probably gonna be seeing you a lot. And he was like, well, you know, you can always text me, I'll come out of class to you. Which I was like, okay, like, I was always so okay with him. Like, everything that he did, it was like, okay, like, that's okay, because I wanted him that bad, but I wasn't showing him how actually, like, bad I wanted him. I was just like, okay, whatever, okay. Like, I always tried to make it seem like it was smaller than it actually was. It was actually something very, very sweet that he was doing. We talked about that, and we came to an agreement. We were like, okay, even if we don't have any classes together, you know, if we still want to be with each other and we want to actually like each other further more than just a friendship, then it can be that, and we can make it that. But what I forget is that he is DL at the end of the day. He was DL, very DL. So yeah, like, he was very, very DL. He would dress, you would not know. Literally, you would not know at all. Not unless you literally saw me and him together and how we interacted with each other, then you would suspect maybe something was going on. But other than that, you would not know. And at that point, I was very gullible, because I was like, oh, like, I like private relationships. Like, I don't like for everybody to be in my business, but I don't like to feel like a secret. And that's what I was taking up. I was taking up the place of his secret. And he was my secret also, but I didn't want him to be my secret. I wanted him to be the person that I was with, but not a lot of people knew, but I could let certain people know. And at that point, I was not letting anybody know except for one person. That was my best friend. I would literally let her know everything, because I was like, if I do get with, you know, him, and I get into a situation where I would have to, you know, need help, I know who I can call. This was not my very first DL experience at all, but it was my first serious one. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna keep this here and let it, you know, either grow or let it fall. And that's just how you have to be with DL guys. Like, either it's gonna grow, or it's gonna literally just never go anywhere. And I thought that was not gonna go anywhere until he kept adding it onto it. And it just kept going higher and higher and higher until we hit like a climax in our relationship. And it was the best thing for both of us. Like, literally, it was the best thing for both of us, literally. It was nothing that could come in our way that was not for us to back in the car now. We were talking, and, you know, I was like, okay, well, I'll talk to you later. And he was like, can I have a hug? And I was like, yeah. So, you know, I just gave him like a hug in the car. And then he was like, can I have a kiss? And I was like, I'm not gonna kiss you until you ask me to be your boyfriend and I say yes. And he said, okay. And I was like, I'll talk to you later. And then I went back into my room. I went to sleep. I called my best friend. I let her know everything the morning of, and then I went to school the next day. I was like, okay. So I Woke up, I got to school, I was so just happy. Like, I was happy just to be happy because I had somebody that was all about me, that wanted me. And I felt like I was on top of the world. I saw him in the actual hallway before class started. Our whole school used to just be chilling. Like, people would get there like 7 o'clock in the morning, and school wouldn't start until 7:30. So from those 30 minutes, people would just be, you know, chilling wherever, really. I saw him in the hallway with his friends, and this was like the first time that I had dressed up for school for real, and we just kept making eye contact. I would be over here with my friends, and he would be over here, and you would just see us two looking at each other out of everything. My friend actually stopped and looked at me. She was like, y'all are so obvious. Like, she was like, it's obvious that he's looking at you and you're looking at him. And I was like, well, if I'm over here and he's over here and we're not talking, but we're just looking, we know what we're thinking. He would text me. He would say, oh, you look so good. Like, and I would be like, wow, like, this is what a relationship should be like. This is what in school relationship should be like. Like, you know, we're private, we have our thing, but if anybody saw us when we were together, it was like no biggie at all. That just kept happening, you know, as time went on. We got closer and closer and closer, and everything was just so good for us. It came for Christmas time to come around, actually, and he was asking me what I wanted for Christmas, and I told him I did not want anything from him. I said I just wanted him to be happy and keep following, you know, whatever we're doing, because that was just all I wanted. I didn't want anything from him. I didn't want any monetary items. I didn't want anything from him at all, except for him to be him and for me to be happy. That was all that was being done. We actually lasted for those whole 4 months and went into the new year together, into 2020 together. A couple minutes after the clock struck 12, I was with him on the phone, and it was just amazing, like amazing. We went back to school, we had new schedules, we had new classes, so we weren't seeing each other all the time, you know, anything like that. When we got back to school, I would notice that he would always be with this one girl. He was always suspicious around this one girl. Like, it's around February, the end of January of 2020. And I noticed, like, this girl, she just kept coming around. Like, every time I would see her, she would be on his hip. I was like, oh my God, like, what the fuck is, like, what is going on? Like, please let me know, what's tea? It got so bad to where I was like, thinking in my head, I was like, okay, so like, is she trying to like mess with Kevin? Because you don't know this, but Kevin is mine. Like, literally, Kevin is mine. I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, like, I gotta get this, like, I gotta get under control for real. Cause if it's one thing I'm not gonna let happen, I'm not gonna let nobody slide in, think that she gonna slide in and take mine from me. No, he gonna have to leave, because you're not gonna take him, like, at all. He gonna have to leave, and I'm gonna have to show him why he gonna leave, and that's just not gonna be good. Like, because I'm gonna have to show him why not to leave. And when I get in that little error in my mind, and I'm on my F you pay me mind, like, that's just dangerous, especially with him. I was just literally minding my business one day. I walk into school, I'm with my girls, you know, we just chilling. I look down a little bit more, I see him at the end of the hallway, and he's with his boys, and here she come. And this girl used to be so nappy headed and so loud, y'all. Like, she used to be so loud for no reason. Like, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, it's 7:10, 7:15-ish, and you are loud as fuck. For what? Like, it's literally 7 in the morning. It's no reason for you. Best friend! I don't like that. So, I was talking to old dude Kevin. I was talking to him after bell had rung, and I was in my actual, like, advisement class. I was like, so what's going on? Because I've been noticing every time that you're somewhere, she's there. And every time she's there, she's all up over you. Like, I was like, you need to cut that out, or you can cut me out, because that's what I was on. I was like, I don't like that. She's really weird, really, really weird. So at this point, me and Kevin's sister, we're cool. Like, we're cool. So she was texting me one night. She was like, why I'm hearing that old girl is pregnant. She's what? You mean, like, I was like, girl, like, we're gonna call her Kayla, because Kayla is very significant also, because Kayla and Kevin, they're brother and sister, but me and Kayla, we're here, and me and Kevin, now we're just like literally on two different ends of the spectrum. Like, I was talking to Kayla, I was like, Kayla, like, no way. Like, I literally was just talking to him earlier today, and I was like, you need to cut that out with that girl, because I could tell how she is. Like, I just know. He was like, oh, you wrong, she's not like that, this, that, and the third. I'm like, okay, all right. Like, when I was trying to talk to him about her, he was defending her to a certain extent. It was like, because I was going in on this girl to him. Like, I was like, you need to stop hanging around that bitch. Like, literally, like, just going off, like, on him. And I didn't even have any full reason to, because I hadn't known anything about, you know, them two or what they had going on. Or at this time, they didn't have anything going on. But what they had going on in the past, before me. So I'm not, you know, I'm not thinking. I found out from Kayla that him and the other girl, Kevin and the other girl, they used to literally talk back in the day. Like, she said back in the day, like that wasn't last summer. It's February right now. We're talking about, it's February of 2020, and we're talking about July and June of 2019. Like, that's dang there, not even a full 6 months for real. I was like, oh, so that's what you're on. And I was like, thank you for letting me know this, that, and the third. And she was like, yeah, like, no problem. If you need anything, this, that, and the third, like, let me know. Because Kayla had a car, so that's my girl. So I text Kevin. I'm like, so I hear that Boo 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 is with Child. And he was like, what the, where you heard that from, this, that, and the third? He was acting all surprised, like he didn't know. But it wasn't like scared surprise, like he thought that he could be the father of the child. And I was like, no, your like sister just told me like she's pregnant. And he was like, oh, that's crazy, this, that, and the third. Like, and he was like, FaceTime me. I FaceTime him, he set his phone up, he playing the game. I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. So then he tells me, he was like, you know I used to mess with her, right? I was like, no, I don't. Like, I didn't know that you used to mess with her. How would I know that? I'm not her baby's dad or nothing. And I was like, but do you know that for real? And he was like, nah. And I was like, oh, well, you need to ask her. You need to ask her, you need to figure out who the fuck this baby daddy is. You know all this stuff about all these people because you sell drugs to them, you are cool with them, you smoke with them, you hang out with them, you fight with them, y'all and y'all little clique, y'all little gang, whatever together. So you know all this stuff about these people, and you don't know who this girl baby daddy is. And I assumed that she hadn't known who it was either. He added her to the call, I got on mute, they started talking. he was saying, oh, I was hearing that you were pregnant and this, that, and the third, and I want to know, like, do you think that I could possibly be the dad? And guess what she says out her mouth? Guess what she said out her freaking mouth, bro? Okay, y'all, so I hope that y'all enjoyed the very first part to my DL boyfriend story time. So excited to like share this story with y'all. Like, this is actually a crazy story that I just went through not too long ago. Like, literally, the story just ended like not even a month ago. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys want a part 2. Like, comment and subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next one.